Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Lightning Talk session. And I would like to let you know that there will be no questions. Each presenter will have 3 minutes. And if you have questions, I invite you at the end of the session to come to the tables and find the presenter and engage in conversation. And with that, I would like to invite Claudia.
Okay, good morning. My name is Claudia Solis Lemus. I'm an assistant professor in plant pathology and the Wisconsin Institute for Discovery. And I want to talk to you about matches. So who has not wanted to find a special someone with whom share dreams and goals and objectives? Today, we're going to be focusing more on collaboration matches. We want to find someone with whom we want to discuss science, do projects together, write grants together. How do we find that? And events like this, of course, ignite those type of collaborations. But, well, actually, I was supposed to say that when I was getting this slide. But if there's anyone in this room, we're trying to find someone to write scientific papers with, discuss about science, submit grant proposals, collaborate on cool projects, or complement your research in any way. Like I said, talking to people in your table is one way, but we also created compatibility questionnaire. So what we're encouraging people is to go into this questionnaire right now. If you don't have your cell phone out, I'm looking at you. Please go into the QR code. It's gonna take you less than 3 minutes, and it's gonna ask, it's kind of like a dating app, but for collaborations. It's gonna ask you very simple questions. The idea is for us to do a matching algorithm with the help of Michael Ferris, who's over there. He has very sophisticated matching algorithms that we're gonna be running in the background, and you will be guaranteed 100% satisfaction from your match. Mike, oh, I'm sorry, Michael, your name is cut in the slide. So Michael Ferris is the one that is running the matching algorithms. He's over there. Once you fill this out, please fill it out by 11 a.m. So you have a little less than an hour. It should take you just 3 minutes. And if you did that and want to meet your match, come join us for the lunch. I am not entirely sure, Michael, are we still going to the orchard room for the matching? Correct. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Michael. So you can grab your lunch and then go to the orchard room, which is on the 3rd floor. The elevators are by Aldo's Cafe. You can just follow me. But you will meet with someone that, in theory or ideally, will have some matches with you and the goal of the research that you want to do. So I'm going to leave the QR code here. I've just got 20 seconds. But thank you. I hope to see most of you in the lunch.
Okay, I'll give it a second if anyone hasn't gotten that code, and then. All right. So, hello, I'm Allison Kittinger. I'm the brand new Open Source Program Office, or OSPO Manager, here at UW-Madison, and I'm here to talk to you about open source software. So, breaking news, I've got some headlines here. The NSF is introducing a new program called Pathways to Enable Open Source Software. Higher ed OSPOs are garnering millions in funding. The OSTP has guidance to make federally funded research freely available. And of course, UW-Madison partners with Madison College to establish the Open Source Program Office, which I am the manager of. So before we talk about why all of those headlines exist, we'll talk a little bit about, just to be on the same page, what open source is. From good old Wikipedia, a type of computer software in which source code is released under a license, in which the copyright holder grants users the rights to study, change, and distribute the software to anyone and for any purpose. Open source software may be developed in a collaborative public manner. So sort of analogous to open data sharing, open access publishing, as software becomes an increasingly crucial part of the research enterprise. We're looking for ways to make it open and collaborative and share it more widely with the broad research community. So why do we care? Why is funding going towards this? What are the benefits of open source software? So one is transparency. reproducibility and accountability in research, just like open data. If you can see the software someone has used to come to a research conclusion, you can replicate that study. You can collaborate and build on that. You can make suggestions for the software for future things that happen in that research. Agility. So there's open collaboration. There's no permissions restrictions that you have to wade through about, asking someone in an email that probably doesn't exist anymore, like, hey, can I use this thing that you did? Cost savings is another one. There's no vendor lock-in, proprietary platforms, no bundling requirements. If you're teaching a class, if you're doing research, you can use this software openly, and students don't have to pay for it. You don't have to pay for it. And then community. There's already, and I'm sure some of you are a part of it. Oh, is that my time? Oh, no, it's not. Okay. You fooled me there. Psych. So community, a passionate community to plug into and make real impact that I'm sure a lot of you are already a part of. We know that there's this work being done on campus, and that brings me to the OSPO, the office that we made to support open source software in the Data Science Institute with Kyle Kramer, who you just heard from. We want to do these things, be really the so-called institutional API to connect you with other people that are doing this work, make a community of open source software practitioners, find industry partners, community partners, campus partners to advance this mission, provide education and training and internship opportunities, research support, and if you're interested in tech transfer, translation, things like that, working on research contexts with open source software, and then just best practices. If you're confused about what license to put on something, there's a lot of them. So, trying to help out with that. But that's me. The email and our website are right up here, and I'm looking forward to talking with some of you about software. Thanks.
Hello, everyone. My name is Xiang Zheng from Information School, University of Medicine, and today's topic is to explore the impact of tenure on research, which is an important topic in today's higher education. So, tenure track system is an important system in higher education. It protects academic freedom and encourage innovation. But today, many people say that tenure is dying and it's not as popular as before. So to understand tenure's value, we should first understand, is tenure track system good to research, and can it really spur innovation? So to answer this question, we extracted data from academic analytics and the Scopus database, and we have a big data set including 42,000 professors with 1 million research papers. And here's our findings. So first, we talked about the research performance, first about productivity. So in terms of the papers they publish every year, we found that after tenure year, they seem to stop increasing their productivity, but it's at the highest level at the tenure year. And in terms of other citation impact and impact factor, which is a proxy measure of their journal prestige, we found that for the highest achievement, the key papers, and the lowest achievement, which is the minor papers, they seem to stabilize their research impact after that. After the tenure year, but compared to the polarized trend before tenure. And about innovation, we use the novelty and disruptiveness to measure this, and it showed a similar trend compared to the citation impact. It become more stable after that, but overall, it's an increasing trend throughout their career life. And for collaboration, we explored the new collaborator, international collaboration, and the collaboration with early career researchers. That we all found that tenure seemed to have an impact. We see that the curved line around the tenure year, and it seemed like they collaborate more with international teams after tenure, but with lower decreasing trend with early career researchers. I believe these findings can help us understand more about tenure's value in higher education. This is only a start, and we are bound to explore more in the future. Thank you.
All right, hello, my name is Caitlin Wienkes. I'm the instrumentation engineer for a new group on campus called the Wisconet. And I'm going to start because I'm curious. Can you raise your hand if you've heard of the Wisconet? All right, great. For those of you who haven't, it's the Wisconsin's environmental Mesonet. Can I get a raise of hands of who knows what a Mesonet is? All right, so a Mesonet is a network of weather stations. You're looking here at Wisconsin's. The blue dots are the current stations, so those installed last year, and the white dots are looking into 2024. At the lower map, it represents what states have Mesonets. We're getting there, and at the end of the presentation, I'll touch on what's going on to unify to make it a national force. So here's a pretty much exact replica of one of our stations. Starting from the top to the bottom, every 5 minutes we're reporting data on wind speed, gust, and direction, solar radiation, so the amount of energy from the sun coming down in watts per meter squared. We've got barometric pressure, air temperature, and relative humidity. Then there we have a leaf wetness sensor, which is like a little plastic leaf that tells you if it's dewy or if it's wet from rain or not. We're using a tipping rain bucket to measure total precipitation, and then we've got soil sensors down to 1 meter in the ground, measuring soil temperature and moisture. So how do we get the data from the field to you? Each station is equipped with cellular modem, which gets our data to the cloud. Our cloud is a software called Network Manager, which is NM10, that is housed by the campus cloud infrastructure. From there, our website, wisconet.wisc.edu, queries the data, and this website is available to all of you. You can download all of our data from any of our stations right to your computer. And to the national force. So organizations like the National Weather Service, the USDA, and the National Mesonet Program are already calling our API to kind of stream this data directly to their platforms. And for example, the National Mesonet Program just last week kind of brought together all the Mesonets that could attend the conference, and we're collaborating to they're mostly supporting us by like bringing all of the data into one source. And just to kind of wrap up, the American Association of State Climatologists are the ones kind of standardizing this National Mesonet Program by, there's my time, but by like setting standards on like the names of the measurements, calibration frequency, and yes, so glad to bring this information to you, and I'll have a poster out there if you want to chat more about how this involves your research. Yeah.
Okay, hello everybody. My name is Jonathan Lombardino. I'm a PhD candidate in the bacteriology department. I want to talk to you today about how bacteria can engage in types of information transfer. We're going to start by relating this to a real-world problem of antibiotic resistance. So essentially what I'm showing you here is the CDC's wanted poster. And these are 4 bacterial pathogens that are resistant to multiple types of antibiotics. So this is a huge burden on our healthcare systems and is a threat to human health and well-being. And what's even more alarming about these guys is they have this inherent propensity, at least 3/4 of them, to acquire new antibiotic resistance from DNA in their environment through a process called natural transformation. And the way this mechanism works is when bacterial cells die, their DNA becomes freely available in the environment, and then these naturally transformable recipient bacteria essentially wrangle in this DNA from the environment. They'll cut it and paste it into their own DNA, their own genomic repertoire. So that can be a mechanism in how antibiotic resistance genes spread among bacteria. And so obviously, this is a worthwhile endeavor to study because potentially we could create some kind of therapeutics, interventions, or surveillance systems for this. So those are the exact kind of fundamental questions our lab is trying to answer. And so the way we do this in controlled laboratory settings is we take these naturally transformable bacteria and we combine that with donor DNAs. And then we use state-of-the-art genome sequencing, as well as a bioinformatic toolkit I've developed called HARBINGER, to pinpoint where these donor DNAs transform in these recipient naturally transformable bacteria. And when we started this project, we kind of had this expectation of what we would see are these nice continuous transfers like I've been showing that are maybe a little bit over the length of an average gene. And we were really excited to find something entirely unexpected. And so what we actually saw is instead of these nice continuous transfers, we get these really interesting mosaic patterns where we swap back and forth between these donor and recipient DNA in close proximity. So obviously, as any good scientist, we found something that we can reproduce as a biological phenomenon. We want to know, why is this happening? And unfortunately, we haven't found a smoking gun yet, just kind of looking at these data holistically. And so this is where hopefully some of you will come in for our data in action today. Essentially, what we think we need here is a machine learning algorithm that has kind of a memory. So we're thinking about something in the space of recurrent neural networks, because the machinery that does this has a very fine-tuned, spatially aware system where it has to test multiple DNAs in close proximity. So if you have any expertise or are really passionate about using machine learning, we're looking for potential collaborators to help us in this endeavor. Also, I want to release open source tools so that other members of the natural transformation community can analyze their own data. So if you're passionate about open source tools like Allison, please come talk to me. Okay, thank you.
Hi there, I'm Anne Pfeiffer. I work with UW-Madison Extension. We are the statewide network of folks who work directly with people to try and take all of the research that happens on campus and get it to the people who are actually doing stuff on the ground around the state. So I work particularly with our crops and soils program, which means anybody who's growing any plant for commercial purposes. So corn, soybeans, potatoes, cranberries, all the things, all the way down to your local CSA vegetable farmer. So one of the things we deal with a lot is super awesome, innovative farmers. That's great. We love working with these people. They are out there making stuff up and saying to UW constantly, why don't you have data on this? And we say, because we've never done that and we want 3 years of replicated data. So instead of coming to UW, they go to YouTube. There's a lot of interesting stuff on YouTube. There's a lot of trash on YouTube. So we are trying to figure out how we as UW can be part of that conversation to say, awesome idea, how do we figure this out together? How can we pull you in to be part of what we believe is a more robust way to learn information and still be innovative and cutting edge and not slow you down in this process of learning new information about critical environmental things? How are we applying nitrogen and phosphorus, and what is the impact of that on our drinking water, among many other things? So in the process of doing that, we have, Extension's been collaborating with farmers, doing on-farm research for decades, centuries. The problem is that much of this research stays on the local laptop of a county educator or a farmer, and we don't have a good way to link people who are learning things together. So our farm partners have said to us, we need a better way to share this data, to sort of standardize it, even though it's super messy data. What can you do for us? So we have this cycle that farmers are really engaged. We're really happy to have that. We are generating data. It is a disaster of a data set. How can we make good sense of it? And the piece we're missing is really that yellow star up at the top, is public data access. So we started building a database. We had a couple models to look at from other universities as well as some nonprofit groups. And we've built a database. So we are currently populating it, launching it this spring. I hope that 6 months, a year from now, I can share with you all how awesome this has been. But to start with, we have a map of Wisconsin. All of the red counties are places we actually have data in the database. And we're working on taking all of the stuff that we know we have on laptops around the state and trying to get it put into this data set. The end goal then is that farmers, extension educators, anybody else involved in this space can go here, search, has this been done before? Who are the partners that I might engage the next time I'm going to lay out a study looking at something similar? Or did a farmer across the state do this last year and I can build on what they learned rather than starting fresh as if it's never been done before. So I'm at the end of time. I think I shared enough. There's some metadata, standardization, very simple so that it is farmer language. It's useful for them, not necessarily peer-reviewed research. So thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Jason O, a data scientist from the Data Science Institute. So today I want to talk about my product launch, official product launch, today a faculty search. So how can we identify relevant researcher using LLM embeddings? So as you may know today, Claudia has shown us the matchmaking. So I think the matchmaking in academia is a trending topic. So I just want to ask you, how can you identify a collaborator within this UW campus? I guess this is a quite time-consuming effort, and we may need to attend conference and stuff like this. So I built a system search engine to tailor for addressing these questions. So you can check out this website, discover-datascience.wis.edu, or just use our QR code to access our product. So actually, what is this faculty search doing in the background? Is it it's just a Google Scholar clone? It's actually not. So in the background, we assume researcher is their sum of publications in this use case, only in this use case. So, and the second is we given a query. For example, we are interested in corn and fungicide or any research topics. We will optimize the search by the similarity, recency, and the authority of these publications, and then we rank the authors in a descending order. So most relevant, similar, and authorities people will come up the first. Yeah. So what it's doing in the back end on the architecture is kind of simple because we access the data from academic analytics. One of the authors have shown us today. And then we crawl the publications data and send it to OpenAI embeddings and try to represent the publications in the form of semantic space. And then we push the embedding to a vector store in the back end, and then we can use the search with those authority ratings and algorithms to return the most relevant faculties. So because open source is a big thing for our office, or Allison will kill me if I don't put it to the open source. So this is a fully open source for this product. So you can access the source code if you really want to. Thank you so much.
Woo. Yeah. And with that, we come to the end of the first session of the Flash Talks. I welcome you to go and try some of our refreshment, and we'll be back at the top of the hour. A round of applause for our presenters. That's right. You have questions, you want to engage with the presenters, please come to the tables in the front.
Hi, I'm Taylor Odle. I'm an assistant professor in education policy studies and faculty affiliate in data science. And I'm going to talk to you today about the college application process broadly and how we can leverage data to simplify that for most students and most institutions. So I want to start with this true reality that the college application process actually isn't very simple. We say just apply to college. Well, students need to fill out applications, they need to take the ACT or SAT, get a fee waiver if they're from a low-income family, to not only take the exam but also to send their score, complete a resume, fill out ask for letters of recommendation, ask for transcripts, et cetera, and they have to do this times the number of institutions that they hope to apply to. This reality leads to one very important fact if we care about educational equality and equity. This entire process actually increases inequality in who has access to college. Why? Because completing many of these steps relies on financial, social, and cultural capital, and not all students have equal access to resources, to supports, etc., to complete this step. We kind of face this fact or this challenge under another very true reality. For most students in most institutions, this entire process is a waste of time. A full 33% of students attend community colleges, which are by definition open access or have a 100% acceptance rate. Another 56% of students attend four-year institutions that accept 80% of more of all applicants. So why do students need to complete this gauntlet when they are easily admissible to these institutions? Why are these steps shutting out many students from access to higher education? So it kind of leaves this question, or a kind of prevailing policy question: what if we just eliminated the need to apply to college altogether? An idea is that we could leverage existing data to proactively send students college admissions letters based on things like their GPA, course grades, ACT, SAT, or just the fact that they're a student in high school. The idea is that everyone could be universally admitted to institutions where they are already universally admissible to. What if every high school student knew that a community college was an option for them? Or for particularly higher achieving students, what if they knew that a UW-Madison was a great match, that they would easily be admissible under a specific criterion? We can be sending students these early college-going signals, guaranteeing them a post-secondary opportunity, simplifying the process, and nudging them to kind of complete these tasks. And the idea here is generally called direct admissions. So programs like this are popping up across the country, and this fall, the state of Wisconsin will actually pilot direct admissions for participating high schools, where students will be admitted to many UW campuses except for UW-Madison. There are also a lot of private players in this space that are connecting students to private institutions that can support them as well. From available research, we know these direct admissions programs actually raise enrollment, especially at two-year colleges, and are actually closing equity gaps, particularly by income and race, by wiping away from many this unnecessary barrier. So as we move forward, we're thinking about ways to leverage financial aid, improve match, particularly for STEM-abled students, and also monitoring students' outcomes as these programs evolve. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name's Dave Long, and I'm here today representing the Applied Population Lab, which is a group of 7 research and outreach professionals located in Community and Environmental Sociology Department within the College of Ag and Life Sciences. And we, broadly speaking, do the work of translating social and economic data into useful information to colleagues across campus and to community partners. And today I'm going to focus a little bit on a sub-area of our work which relates to maps and GIS, Geographic Information Systems, and spatial analytics. And within that, I'll first talk about health geography. So we do a lot of work in spatial modeling, so using statistical tools to sort of unpack patterns, spatial distribution, spatial processes, all of those things that lend themselves to statistical analytics study within a software GIS combination, usually with some statistical packages. The implications for things like COVID are pretty profound in that case, so we did a lot in that domain. We also do place-based translational research, so that means taking data at a scale, usually local scale, packaging it and translating it into something that's digestible for consumers, for the public at large. Kind of think Wisconsin idea again, or outreach as it's often called. In this case, you're looking at Wisconsin County health rankings for Dane County. And we also got engaged with some learning tools that had distance related dimensions to them. So this one was one of a couple that allowed users to go in and play with the parameters related to social distancing and see how that impacted sort of a model of disease spread. Outside of the health geography domain, we work in the areas of socioeconomic data, the built environment, demographics, obviously, and we develop databases and platforms that folks use to help them make decisions about their communities. One example is the Madison Neighborhood Indicators Project. We've got data on things like third grade reading scores, police incidents, access to transit, birth outcomes, all of that intended to better align resources with where they're most needed. And the most popular platform we have is actually informed by data collected by folks in the Department of Medicine. The Neighborhood Atlas condenses a variety of demographic indicators into a single index score of disadvantaged, and that extends through the whole country so people can look at neighborhood effects on health. Besides that, we have data on demographic data related to Wisconsin communities paired with social vulnerability, access to food resources like, my time is up, food resources like SNAP providers, food pantries, summer meal sites, and so forth. And there's a few other sites that are specific to the needs of our partners. So feel free to reach out. I'd be happy to talk more about these things and a variety of other projects that we work on at APL. Thanks.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Krzysztof Borowski, and I'm here today to tell you about the fascinating intersection of language and coding. And specifically, I want to focus on the role that Python can play in developing tools for foreign language education and natural language processing. So as you might have heard, large language models are all the rage today. They use deep learning techniques and massive data sets to predict the next most likely words. And at the same time, they're very good at generating chunks of text that can be plausible and follow detected patterns. But as you might know, exceptions are part and parcel of language. Take English, for example, with its fairly straightforward morphology. Switching between tenses is pretty easy. So I walk, I walked, I talk, I talked. But we do have exceptions here as well. For example, I go, I went, I was gone. I sing a song, I sang a song, this song was sung. And what about less commonly taught languages like Polish? So I've been teaching it for over 8 years now, and I wish it worked like English. But instead, Polish boasts a rich morphology that lets you create new words using morphemes, or the smallest units of meaning. And that's why I want to argue that morphology could be used as the basis for natural language processing in this case. And here we have just some sample derivatives of the word for actor. Now, the verbal system is even more complex. And each grammatical person has its own set of endings for both the present and the past tense. And this is, in general, how synthetic languages work. So at first glance, this richness may feel unnecessary, but at the same time, it provides a great opportunity for Python to step in and for us to leverage Python for morphological analysis. So for example, multiple forms of the verb to read can be easily generated using a function like this one, where we use slicing, a single for loop that iterates through the list of suffixes and pronouns, and print statements. So to conjugate, the user simply enters the word following a prompt, and the following result can be displayed. Now, using these regularities and leveraging the typological classification of Polish as a synthetic language, I've been building an automated verb conjugator in Python. At this point, the conjugator covers all past and present tense forms, and currently I'm expanding it to add coverage for future forms as well. Now, as a language instructor, I know that grammar is hard, especially for synthetic languages. But I also believe that a morphological approach can yield productive results without us having to go and create large language models. And this is why I like to encourage others working with natural language, whether they're educators or natural language processing, to consider using that approach as well. And I'm happy to talk more about that after our session. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Salsabil. We all want to publish our work in prestigious journals. By prestigious journals, I mean journals with high journal impact factor, or JIF. We often recognize the merit of a paper by the journal impact factor and evaluate scientists based on the journal impact factor of their published work during hiring and promotion. Prestigious journals are often thought to pursue a reputation by rejecting a large number of papers, many of which may be influential. So we want to measure to what extent do the prestigious journal capture or overlook influential science. Consider two groups of papers. First, journal elites. These are the papers published in high-impact journals. Second, the citation elites. These are the papers that may or may not get published in high-impact journals, but receive at least as much citation as the high-impact journals. In the left figure, you can see the frequency distribution of the impact factor of citation elite, or highly cited papers. You can see that a vast majority of highly cited papers are not published in high-impact journals. In fact, almost half of the researchers never publish any of their work in journals above impact factor 15. So under the journal level evaluation, these people may get excluded from consideration for various opportunities. In the right figure, the blue dot denotes the scientists who have more citation elite papers in their profile than journal elites. And this group consists of 65% scientists. And the orange dot denotes the scientists having more journal elite papers in their profile than citation elites. And this group is only 4.5% scientists. So you can see that citation elite-based evaluation makes higher percentage of scientists look more promising compared to journal elite-based comparison. As individual researchers, our careers may suffer due to the overwhelming use of journal impact factor in profile evaluation during hiring, promotion, and funding allocation. And this trend can make thousands of influential research and scientists overlooked. And I want to close the discussion mentioning about Kathleen Carrico, who received Nobel Prize last year. However, earlier in her career, she was demoted and she was forced to retire because she couldn't get her works published and hence couldn't get funding for her influential work on mRNA. It shows how influential scientists can be systematically overlooked. And from our analysis, we anticipate that there could be many more such scientists who are not getting recognition for their influential work, and journal-level evaluation is playing a role here. If you want to know more about the data and methodology, feel free to check out the preprint. Thank you.
All right, hello everyone. I'm Isaac Baumann. I'm a data scientist at the Data Science Institute. Today I'll be talking briefly about making public microdata accessible with Shiny, which is primarily an R-based, but you can also use it in Python, like web dashboarding tool. So I'm partnering with the university, that's with a C, not an S, Alliance, who's been tasked by the Madison City Council to perform a student housing affordability and rent burden study, not a survey. And the main questions we're trying to get after is how much are college students paying for rental housing in the Madison area, and kind of how spatially distributed are students, both undergrads and grad students, across Dane County, just the broader Madison area. So a good kind of first data source to use for a first pass at this is the American Community Survey from the U.S. Census Bureau, which includes really, really detailed, survey responses, particularly with a lot of, questions that kind of address what we're after here. But the problem is that those microdata are large, complex, and are there's kind of a technical barrier to using and accessing those data. A second problem here is the city councilors that we're dealing with. I mean, there's multiple audiences, i.e. the councilors, each with different hypotheses and areas of interest, particularly geographically. So what I'm going to propose is why not let the users of the research play around with the data themselves. Let's create an exploratory data analysis tool that's taking data from the American Community Survey, using the R programming language, in particular the tidy census package in that language, which facilitates communicating with the Census Bureau API, and then combine that with the Shiny web app package, which again can be used in R or Python to kind of build an EDA tool for the end users of this research. And this is kind of a quick overview of what that could look like. So, if you can dream it, really, you can do it in Shiny. Here I've got kind of a map of Madison. We've overlaid like a choropleth map of kind of where students distribute themselves. In this case, I think this is total students, not just undergrads or grad students. The user can pick their vintage of the ACS, and you can also kind of add in other data points here with these bottom graphs that dynamically react to button clicks on the map itself. And here, we can add a second page that kind of helps visualize like a different layer of the data. Here, these are individual responses to the ACS, not just estimates, which were on the prior slide. So anyway, I guess what I want to impress is if you're not already using this tool, you don't need to be a web developer to do this. If you have large, complex data sets that you need to communicate to end users, this is a great way to do it. There's a lot of really great resources on campus, such as the data carpentries for learning how to do this. So yeah, I hope you've found this to be a useful and interesting use case and how you can help put your data in action. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Siyuan. I'm a PhD student at the Ag and Applied Econ department. I'm going to present a joint work with Dr. Jordan at the McGill University and many others. This project is funded by the Johns Hopkins University and Sloan Foundation, hence the watermark. The concept of this project is rather simple. With the rapid adoption of solar energy, people start to wonder about the life cycle land use impact of solar PV projects. Existing studies have failed to provide a satisfying answer, mostly due to the lack of data and consistent methodology to examine this issue. We propose a new guideline to study solar land use by presenting a new methodology and data set. Using all the PV projects, solar PV projects in the US part of the Western Interconnection, constructed before 2019, we built a machine learning model to estimate the land use footprint for every individual project. The machine learning model is built using manual annotations of a random subsample of all PV sites, which then goes through a few rounds of calibration, and finally is used to annotate the entire portfolio. As you can see, we managed to train a very accurate model specifically for this task. And then for sanity check, our results are on par with the existing data set for the same group of PV projects. We finished by proposing a couple of metrics and calculated the land use efficiency of all PV projects. As you can see, our findings correspond to the location of PV projects well, i.e. projects in the southwestern state are more efficient than those in the north. Our model also manages to annotate the entire project site, which is the first of its kind. We also managed to distinguish for the first time the heterogeneity between PV projects with different mounting systems, i.e. single/fixed axis vis-a-vis dual axis. Also, what type of land cover on which most projects are situated, which is crucial information to how we should measure land use impact for all energy projects. This paper is now under review at Nature Sustainability, and once published, the model and the data will be open access. We hope this project serves not only as a motivation to utilize machine learning in life cycle assessment, but also to all people who are interested in a more sustainable future to be more informed about how just how efficient solar energy is. Thank you very much for listening.
Hey everyone, my name is Corey Jackson. I'm an assistant professor in the information school. And I want to talk about a project aimed at addressing important gaps in civic engagement and technologies in Madison. So this project was launched partly due to two pieces of landmark legislation that focused on climate justice. So climate justice requires ensuring that all communities have an equal voice in addressing issues that they face. But we know, for example, that racial and ethnic minorities oftentimes face the brunt of climate change's impacts. For example, Black Americans are 34% more likely to live in areas near pollution sources, causing asthma-related issues. We also know that Hispanic and Latinx communities are 43% times more likely to experience work hour reductions due to negative climate change impacts. Yet these communities' voices are often underrepresented in discussions around climate policy. And so our research team is engaging community-based groups and local governments in co-creating technology solutions to address some of those gaps. To address climate change effectively, we need to understand the unique obstacles that communities face and how to address those obstacles. We also need to know what role technology plays in amplifying people's voices to address those issues as well. So our efforts over the past year have engaged more than 500 residents of Dane County in collecting data about the attitudes, opinions, and beliefs related to climate in local communities. We've also learned from local governments that narratives are particularly important to communicating and advocating for these communities as well. So with that, we built a tool called Knowledge Map using R Shiny. So congrats to R Shiny for all the mentions. But we've built this tool that displays some of the data that we collected. So folks can, on the top left, select a survey, and on the bottom right, select a particular geography, so census tract, legislative district, and view some of the data that we've collected. So we're using machine learning techniques to do things like structured topic modeling to show those narratives related to impacts of climate change. For us, the most awesome thing that we've done was show this representativeness score, which is a particularly important issue for the communities that we spoke with. So they want people to know whose voices are actually included in the data. That also links to different strategies for local governments to actually reach out to community-based groups who might help amplify voices where there are gaps. But for us, this is more than just a tool. It's a way to engage communities, and some next steps are around co-creating technological solutions that enhance civic engagement. So we'll be happy to talk about this more after. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Han. Today I want to share how we can leverage reader data and machine learning algorithms to help us better see beneath the surface. So imagine being able to see beneath the surface. There are so many things we can do, right? We can easily assess the health condition of our building, utilities, plants. We can find a hidden cave without any excavation, and we can measure the depth of glacier with minimal labor work in the freezing temperature. But the problem is, how can we see beneath the surface? Well, surface penetrating reader is a device that can use electromagnetic waves to non-destructively inspect subsurface environment. It basically sends out electromagnetic waves and collect vector signals from the object. When we move this reader device around an area, we can collect the data at different positions and further compile them in the form of readogram, either two-dimensional or three-dimensional. So the data, and in the readogram, we can say we have some object reflections, coupled with some system and environmental clutter. So the data acquisition process is pretty straightforward, but the challenge is how can we analyze this complex and non-intuitive reader data and use it to tell us information of our subsurface objects. So in our recent work, we aim to explore whether we can use neural network models to help us better analyze this complex reader data and extract detailed, fine information of the subsurface object. So for object acquisition, the first step is always to extract clean signals from the object, right? So we first tailored a neural net model that can capture the patterns, respond to the object reflection, and suppress other patterns related to the unwanted system environmental clutter. So when we well extract these object responses with these clean responses, we can move forward to characterize the subsurface object. In one of our applications, we devised a neural network architecture to estimate 5 key parameters of tree roots, including the depth, diameter, material property, horizontal and vertical spatial orientations. And with these well-estimated parameters, we can further combine them with the 3-dimensional reader data, and we can produce high-resolution imaging of our subsurface targets. So our work shows that shows the high potential of the strong potential of machine learning models to help us better stay beneath the surface. But this research topic is still in its infancy. We face challenges like lack of standard open source reader dataset, and we need to explore models that can generalize well across diverse subsurface environment. The technology can have vast applications across different fields, and here are some examples. If you're interested in our work or potential applications, let's connect and talk. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Kathryn Bernard, and today I'll be talking about some work I did as part of the capstone project for my master's degree in the Nelson Institute here at UW-Madison. Spending time outside recreating in green spaces is hugely important for our physical, mental, and emotional health and well-being, but communities across the country lack access to spaces where they can safely recreate. And because spending time outside in nature is linked to so many positive health outcomes, this unequal access can lead to health disparities and other negative effects on these nature-deprived groups. So this is a big problem, and understanding the demographics of communities living around recreation areas like national parks and monuments can help these land managers more effectively engage with local communities as they strive to provide recreation that is appealing for all groups living in this area. And understanding these demographics is also important for advocacy groups that are working to protect important recreation areas that serve diverse populations. So for this project, I was collaborating with Outdoor Alliance, which is a nonprofit that works at the federal policy level to promote outdoor recreation access at the same time as conserving land. So we were interested in several national parks and monuments, primarily on the West Coast, that are being considered for geographic expansion, and we wanted to know who primarily would benefit from the additional recreation opportunities that would be protected if those areas were expanded. So to do this, we analyzed data about road networks and other transportation infrastructure, census tracts, demographic variables, and recreation sites to answer the question, who lives around these areas and what types of opportunities do they have access to? So we assess factors like race and ethnicity, education levels, and income status to get that baseline understanding of these communities, and then combine that with actual road network data to understand who is able to access these sites within certain driving distances. And then once they're there, we summarized what types of activities they would have access to participate in. Then to disseminate this information, we combined our main findings into an interactive web-based experience that can be shared with the general public. These sites provide background information on the locations, as well as explain the most important benefits of expanding these areas. And tools like these can be really helpful for advocacy groups like Outdoor Alliance that are primarily engaging with the general public to gain support for an issue or policy. So in summary, engaging with local communities is really important for land managers and other planners as we strive to increase the number and diversity of people that have safe and convenient recreation options. So if you'd like to learn more, come find me at my table, or I'll have a poster outside this afternoon as well. Thank you.